everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be continuing on this little series that I've started with the blending of the oxide inks. So I have another color combo, and we're going to start with, I believe this one is Abandoned Coral, Stormy Sky, and Black Soot. And we're using the makeup brushes again because I'm digging those right now. I like my regular blender blending tools. I really do. And I'll probably maybe on my last one do like because I did the versus clarity brushes and makeup brushes, and maybe I'll do that on the last one, the original distress tool and makeup brushes, like do a comparison of what it looks like to blend with either one. And I think you'll find that it's really similar when it comes to that. I think the only one that to me has a specialty effect would be the clarity brushes, because they give you an option to have a really fine or light background. Like you're able to create sort of like a hue or like a little spotlight area with them and not have a harsh line. Whereas with the brush and the makeup brushes and the distress ink, if you don't move right, you can get a really harsh line. Yeah, that would be the main benefit to me of the clarity brushes, on why you may want it if you're trying to do more of a halo effect behind, an object that you want to stand out. So you're using white cardstock, but you just want a little bit of color, and you want to put your sentiment or your image over top of it to have it have like a spotlight. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. I'll have to do it so I can show it to you. But on this particular one, I showed you the first one I did. I think I put it over to the side, and that one was, I totally forget what that color combo was. I tried to write them all down, and I got it in front of me, but you know how it goes. And we're just cleaning the brushes, same technique. I rub it on the cloth, and then if it's not coming off, I spray it a little bit with the stamp cleaner, and it helps move some of that ink. But if you also are keeping it with the same color family, then you really don't have to like do all that cleaning in between colors, because you would try to keep them in a similar range. Okay, now this color combo is it has the green. Hold on. Okay, this one is the Wild Honey, Forest Moss, and Seedless Preserves. I don't know why. Some of these I think are more leading towards fall, and fall is coming soon, and that's probably one of my favorite seasons. I love making fall themed cards, but there was something about this color combo that I thought was just so pretty. And on this one, even though I think on the one card I wound up doing it horizontal, all the other ones I do this way where it's going vertical, and I did that because of the stamp that I'm using for the final image to finish out the cards. It works better going horizontal than it does going vertically than horizontal. It's not designed to be going sideways. That was really hard to explain. So we're just blending on the Seedless Preserves, which is a really pretty purple. I think that's probably one of my favorites. And do you see that line? It was messy, and then all I did was grab my brush with a little bit of that Wild Honey, and it blended out so well. I'm just checking off on my little cheat sheet on my different color themes. And I'm just writing once again on the back because I like to make sure that I tell you the color combos as we go along, because you know it's inevitable. You do a video, you get it ready, and then you go to do the voiceover and it's like, wait, what did I do? I did that? Like, I'm seeing it for the first time too, you know what I mean? Okay, so when it comes to the makeup brushes as well, I would suggest, if you're the type of person who doesn't like mixing and you're afraid of cross-contamination, get you a couple of sets. They have some really inexpensive ones out there, so you can get multiple sets and have, you know, 3 or 4 the same size, especially if you really like, I like the big one is good, but I like the medium and the little bit smaller one. Mine has a really small one, which I think will be good for stencils, so I'm gonna do something with that later. Now this one, I like this color combo because it's light. It has like a very soft look to it, and it's the Tattered Rose, Milled Lavender, and Hickory Smoke. Now, I don't use hickory smoke that much, but I'm going to tell you what, I love the hickory smoke when it comes to the blending, especially when you're using it with the other color combos. If I can remember to post a link to a video that I did where I think I had, you know, other three color combos, and we did some stamping with. I'm going to try and link it here because I think I used hickory smoke a lot in that. And those cards turned out really, really pretty. So I want you guys to definitely see the that particular stamp pad. I'm going to shout out my bestie, Beatrice. I'll have a link to her video because the best part about hickory smoke is I think people sleep on it. I don't think a lot of people use it enough because it's really a great gray. It really is. And I don't know, I've been loving grays lately. Gray is definitely the new black. Is that how it goes? Yeah, because it's something about the mixing the colors with gray. It definitely speaks to me. And then we just grab that milled lavender and blend in again, and then once again with the hickory smoke, and you just keep blending in between until it gets to the look that you're going for, that you like, that it's blended enough that it's like, yeah, you almost, you know, there are obviously different colors, so you're only going to get so much of a blend. But like I said in the previous video, if you used similar colors, then it'll have a nice like an ombre look. So now I'm going to use this Brutus Monroe stamp. I love this stamp. I probably use it the most when it comes to like when I just want to have a really pretty background and then like put a sentiment over top of it. There's this one, and then there's one from Concord and Knife that I love to use, but that one is more, there's a lot more open space because you can color it and stuff like that, but this is definitely meant to be a background statement, if that makes sense. So I treated my paper with the EK Success embossing the powder, so that way my cardstock will only attach the embossing powder to the ink itself that we're putting down. With distress inks, especially the oxides, you're gonna want to make sure that it's completely dry before you start putting the embossing powder all over it, because if you don't, it will stick everywhere because it's a pigment ink. Okay, so sometimes it stays wet longer and you'll have an entire background of embossing powder. So what I do is I usually let it sit off to the side for a few minutes, and then I also hit it with the heat tool before we start because I just want to make sure. You can also test it, test your sheet before you continue on. So here I'm just going to get it heated up. And we're just going to melt it. We're using gold embossing powder. And if you've never embossed before, I definitely suggest this as a technique, even for new crafters, new card makers, because it's such a satisfying technique. Because once you heat it up and it's all shiny and pretty, it's like you feel like you did something, you accomplished something, and it's so simple, but it's stunning. You can't go wrong with it. You really can't. And if you're ever confused or you think you might have missed a spot, tilt your card on an angle and you'll be able to see if you've missed any spots. If it's not shiny, hit it with the heat tool. All right, so now we're putting the card together. I already have my other 3 already set up. I'm just going to attach this one. And I'm just writing down, you can see here my little cheat sheet. And I got it right in front of me. So we're going to go ahead with the ATG tape and art glitter glue. I use both because sometimes whenever you're putting cards together, stuff can get wonky. And if you need to be able to pull it up so you can make, you want to make sure you're getting it nice and straight, then use the art glitter glue with it, because it gives you a few seconds where you could separate your pieces and not destroy your card or the hard work that you've put into it. So isn't that pretty? I mean, you could literally leave that right there and it would be perfect. So I've already had the sentiment stamped, and we're doing sympathy cards, so it says sending love and sympathy. You can see that's all 4 of them. 2 of the cards I used a platinum embossing powder, and then the other 2 I used gold. So now I'm taking it back old school. I'm using my Stamp-A-Majig because I'm using the red rubber stamps, so obviously I can't see through it to stamp it, and the Stamp-A-Majig will allow you to see where your sentiment's gonna go, and as long as you don't move your jig, then you'll be able to go straight down and up and have a nice straight sentiment on the inside of your card. Or you could do it on the front side of your card. Like this was the first stamp positioner before we got the Misty tools and the I don't even know, the Tim Holtz one. I forget yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. So I was showing you how I was laying down my cards, because when you stamp with VersaFine, the black onyx ink, it stays wet for a little bit of time. So I don't suggest closing your card up right away, because you'll get marks on the top part of the card. And if you're wanting to, make sure that doesn't happen, then just store it with it open and let it dry some before you close it completely. Okay. So here are the close-ups of the 4 cards. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I want to make sure that I will have links to the previous videos that we've done, the last 2. They will be at the very end. Also, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. I would greatly appreciate it. And at the end, or no, in the more section, I will have links to scrapbooking with me, the .com. If you purchase anything, just use coupon code TT15. That'll allow you to get an extra 15% off on anything that's not already on sale. And links to the Facebook pages and other social medias for scrapbooking with me is down below as well. So thank you guys, and I hope you have a great Sunday.